So in this lecture we determine the shear center of an I section. So we already in the previous lecture we already determined the shear center for a C section or a channel section. In this lecture, today's lecture, we determine the shear center for an I section. So in any section, if it is having two axes of symmetry, then definitely the shear center coincides, as we discussed in the previous lectures. The shear center coincides with the centroid of that section. But in case of a section which is having an axis, one axis of symmetry, and so the shear center does not coincide with the centroid of the section, but it lies on the axis on which axis it is symmetry. To that axis, in that axis, the it lies. The shear center will lie in that particular axis. So, if it is an equal I section, it is in the case of an equal I section, so it will be symmetrical about x axis and of course as well as y axis. So the shear center it coincides with the centroid of the I section. But if it is in the case of an unequal I section and a section, it is symmetrical about x axis. As it is shown in this figure, it is about x axis, it is symmetrical. So the shear center lies, it does not coincide with the centroid, and it lies in the x axis. So what I have shown here. So this is the figure of an unequal I section, and this is shown here. The details of these are, this is symmetrical about x axis, so therefore the shear center will lie in this axis. So it is indicated here as O, and so the dimensions or the notations of the section are like this. This is width of the shorter flange, flange width, shorter side of the flange is B1, and the longer side flange width is B2, and here also B1 and B2, and this height of the I section, not the overall height, but from center of this to center of the top flange to center of the bottom flange, it is height H, and this is the thickness of the flange T1, and this is also thickness of the bottom flange T1, and the thickness of the web, this is T2, and this is the web, and this is top flange and bottom flange. And we have taken an elementary section at a distance of x from right hand edge of the section with the thickness dx, and this is B2 as I told you, and this is the x axis. So these are the notations in this particular unequal I section. So same thing what I explained now I have written here, and of course the talking about the applied shear force. If you see this figure, this is F is the applied shear force acting downward, and this F is the vertically acting downward. This is which is applied shear force. And now B1 plus B2 is as I have shown there. This is a total length of the flange, and T1 is thickness of the flange, and T2 is the thickness of the web. S1 is the shear force in shorter length of top flange, and S2 is the shear force in longer length of the flange. So here S1 is the shear force in the shorter length, here also S1, and S2 are the shorter. If you see the directions of these shear forces S2 and S1, these are acting in clockwise, that is S2 is acting clockwise, that is a longer flange side, whatever the shear force is acting, this is acting like this, and this S1 is acting, if you see the observe top flange and bottom flange, S1 is acting is the anti-clockwise. So S2 is acting in clockwise and S1 is acting in the anti-clockwise direction. So seeing this, always whenever a section to be in an equilibrium position, definitely opposite and equal directions of the forces will be acting on that. Here also in this case also unequal I section also there will be equal and opposite shear forces in the bottom flange, and the vertically upward shear force in the web will be balanced by the vertically downward applied shear force. So as I said, considering an elementary area or elementary area at a distance of x from the right hand edge of the top flange, shear stress. So to find out the shear stress at a distance of x, that is tau is equal to fa bar by fa y bar by I into b, that is f into a is area is x is the length and t1 is the thickness, so x into t1 into y bar is h is the center of the flanges is h, so half of it to up to the x axis it is y bar is h by 2, I is the ixx because it is symmetrical about x axis, so it is ixx into b of course is t1, so tau is equal to f into x into t1 will be get cancelled, x into h by 2, so 2 I xxs, so tau, to calculate the tau, f into x into h by 2 I xx. So of course in this the f is the applied shear force, we know already, a y bar what we have taken here is the moment of shaded area and I is the moment of inertia of the about x axis, that is why we have taken as ixx, and b of course is the width of the shaded section, that is the T1. So now coming to the shear forces, we have to find out that is shear force in elementary area, that is dA into dA is equal to area of the shaded portion in the figure. If you if you want to find out the area of the shear forces, what is the shear force acting over this shaded area. So to find out that, we will calculate now the ds is dA is equal to dx into t1, this is the thickness of that, and t1 is the thickness of the section, that is the area, so width and thickness of that. So ds is equal to tau into dA. Tau we have already written in the previous step, f into x into h by 2xx into t1 2xx, so this is t1 into dx. So therefore total shear force in longer length of the top flange, so we will write it separately for a top flange and of course for the shorter length and longer length separately we write. So first we write in the longer length, s2 is equal to ds, that is the shear force in the longer side of the or longer length of the top flanges. The limits are from b2 to 0. So integral bt to 0 between b2 and 0 limits, f into x into h by 2 ixx into t1 into dx. So as these are the we take out from this integration the constants, f into h into t1 by 2 ixx between b2 and 0 x dx. So f into h into t1 by 2 ixx x square by 2 between b2 and 0, f into h into t1 by 2 ixx into b2 square by 2. So f into h into t1 by ixx into b2 square by 4. So b2 square by 4. So similarly for the total shear force for the shorter length of the top flange, that is s1 is equal to between b1 there b2 between b2 and 0, and here between b1 and 0 upper and lower limits, upper is b1 upper limit, lower limit is 0. ds is equal to b1 to between b1 and 0 f into x into h by 2 into ix. So the difference only will be the only the limits, upper limit there it was b2 and here it is b1. So between b1 and 0, so f into h into t1 by xx into b1 square, where in the top that is s2 is equal to, in that we have taken it, we got it as b2 square, here we get it as a b1 square, instead of b2 here we get b1 square by 4. So we know that it acts definitely to keep the section in equilibrium should form a couple. So the couple due to s2 will be clockwise, as I explained in the beginning, due to the couple due to s2 is clockwise, whereas due to s1 is anti-clockwise. So due to s2 is clockwise, due to s1 is anti-clockwise, and so couple of course definitely as the length of the this shear force, that is s2 is longer, so definitely the moment also will be longer. The moment also, the value of the moment, the couple due to s2 is having larger value, so therefore the net moment due to these couple also will be in the clockwise. So to balance this net moment, apply downward shear force, f should act to the So due to this to balance this, as this is S2 is larger flange is acting like this clockwise, and so therefore this shear force should act, so downward shear force, this F should act downward, it should be acting to the left side of this to balance this S2 clockwise moment. So this shear force, downward shear force F should act to the left of the centroid, that is O, on the axis XX to give anti-clockwise moment. So because always clockwise and anti-clockwise moment both should be equal and in opposite direction, so that the section will be always in an equilibrium position. And of course now the task is that we have to find out at the main purpose of the derivation, what we are learning is now to find out this position where this force is acting and where the centroid is located, that is a distance from this force acting F to this centroid O. So what is the distance of this part, that is E, small e we write, so that is, let E is the distance of point of application of the force from the point O. So we take the moments, so taking moments of all the forces about O, S2, there are two forces S2 and S1, and of course vertical force F. So S2 into H, that is S2 into H, S2 into H, and minus, because this is clockwise, this is anti-clockwise, minus S1 into H equal to the other side vertical is anti-clockwise, this is F into E. So this is F into E. So the moment shear force in the, of course, web also, what we have taken S2 and S are these two are the shear forces in the flanges, but web we have not included. Why? Because the moment of shear force in the web is 0 as the shear force is passing through the O. So now, so in this equation E is equal to S2 minus S1 into H by this F. So for getting E. So S2 and S1 we have derived, that is F into H into T1 by XX into B2 square by 4, and for S1 minus F into H into T1 by Ixx into B2, here B1 square by 4 into this H by F. So finally E is equal to H square into T1 by 4 Ixx into B2 square minus B1 square. This is the formula how we find out the to locate the centroid of the section or the shear center of the section.